Hi, welcome to 7 Facts. You are watching the 23rd episode of the series dedicated to every US state and territory. Feel free to check out the entire playlist if you wish to learn more about the other states. While you do that, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload a brand new video every Wednesday and Saturday, and I already have hundreds of other videos for you to watch, so it'll be worth it. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about Minnesota, so let's see how many of these facts you know. In 1850, fewer than 6,200 settlers lived in Minnesota, but that didn't last for long. By 1900, the state's population grew to over 1.7 million, which when you think about it is insane. A large proportion of these settlers came from Germany and Scandinavia, so much so that, to this day, Minnesota remains the center of Scandinavian American and German American cultures. In recent decades, the state's historic demographic and cultural composition has broadened through immigration from Asia, the Horn of Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. In fact, the largest concentration of Somali ethnics outside of East Africa can be found in Minnesota. Coincidentally or not, Minnesota also has among the highest standards of living in the United States. This state also being among the best educated and wealthiest in the nation. When Minnesotans refer to mosquitoes as their unofficial state bird, they're only being half-sarcastic. This state is home to more than 50 different mosquito species. It goes without saying that you should pack lots of bug spray before going camping or canoeing. Keep in mind that they actually have a mosquito season, which for obvious reasons is well known among the locals. Don't worry too much though, it isn't as bad as it sounds. Minnesota doesn't have it that bad compared to other places in America like Atlanta, Chicago, or even Washington DC or New York. Ever heard of Jesse James? Of course you have. Well, the downfall of this notorious outlaw actually started in Minnesota. In 1876, Jesse James and his gang were thwarted from robbing a bank in the town of Northfield. That day, several gang members were killed while others were captured. In the following years, the group slowly dissolved, and the story's final chapter was in 1882 when Robert Ford finally assassinated Jesse. Northfield takes pride in this accomplishment, and each September the town celebrates this historic event in a 5-day celebration called the Defeat of Jesse James Day. Let me ask you something. Do you think there's a person left on this planet that hasn't heard of the mighty Mississippi River? Well, I'm willing to bet that even fewer people will know that this famous river has its roots in Minnesota. And in fact, this river has quite humble roots. A glacial lake of less than 5 square kilometers called Itasca. This river used to be the primary western boundary of the young United States in the 18th century and has remained to this day a convenient dividing line between the East, South and Midwest on the one hand and Western United States on the other. While Minnesota is famous for its dense forests and plentiful bodies of water, it's also home to 2 neighboring metropolitan centers, Minneapolis and St. Paul. Minneapolis is the largest city with a skyscraper-filled downtown. Meanwhile, St. Paul is the state's capital and boasts old Victorian houses and stately civic architecture. Also known as the Twin Cities, their metropolitan areas combined hold nearly 60% of all Minnesotans. Minnesota is a state of many names. It has nicknames like the Gopher State, the North Star State, the State of Hockey, or the Bread and Butter State. But the name that stands out the most is the Land of 10,000 Lakes. That seems like a lot of lakes, so this name must be misleading, right? Yeah, you're right. There are actually 11,842 lakes in Minnesota, and that's just counting the lakes that are over 2.5 acres. If all basins were counted, Minnesota would have 21,871 lakes. No matter how you count it, that's a whole lot of lakes. Scotch tape, a tool used in basically every household. You need it, and yet there's somehow never enough. But where did it come from? It came from Minnesota. Richard Gurley Drew invented the thing in the 1930s while trying to seal a then new transparent material known as cellophane. The name, which isn't a generic term by the way, but a trademark brand name, came about around 1922. At the time, the term Scotch was a pejorative meaning stingy. Richard Drew was testing his first masking tape to determine how much adhesive he needed to add. The body shop painter using the test tapes became frustrated with the sample and exclaimed,
"Take this tape back to those Scotch bosses of yours and tell them to put more adhesive on it."
From that moment on, Scotch was applied to the entire line of 3M tapes. On a side note, peeling a roll of Scotch tape in a vacuum produces strong enough X-rays to leave an image of a finger on a photographic paper. And we're done. These were 7 facts about Minnesota. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Have anything to say? Leave a comment downstairs. If you wish to support this channel even more, become a patron. Click on the icon or find the link in the description to visit my Patreon page. I hope to see you next time. Bye.